Hi everyone, Kirsten here. So today is the last day of March, which means that today I'm going to be filming a monthly favorites, or rather updates video. I just thought it would be like the most perfect time for me to kind of film this day because it's the last day of March, and since there wasn't much else going on, why not go ahead and start a video on my monthly updates or monthly favorites video. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and dive right on into these 10 questions. Question number 1 is, what is the funniest thing that has happened to you? Not really much funny things happened, to be honest, but the only thing I can come up with is the fact that I was on my PlayStation 4 and I was waiting for my new game at that time to like load and stuff, like for the updates to happen and things like that. Well, anyway, so I was in the middle of like doing something outside of my room, and then I came back in to check on my TV and stuff, and my little cousin Chris was like sitting behind my chair I normally sit in when I play video games, and all of a sudden he like screamed or something, or he said something that scared the crap out of me, and I actually started laughing because I was not expecting him to just pop out of nowhere. I just thought he was with my grandmother or like my brother or something, or maybe my uncle a little bit, but I was not expecting him to hide in my room, and honestly it scared the crap out of me so much that I actually end up laughing. To me, I would count that as the most funniest thing that happened to me this month. Question number 2 is, what books did you read? So just like I've been showing for the past few months by now, you guys pretty much know that I am still reading the same book, which is The Creative Spirit, An Introduction to Theater. So far, everything that I have been learning in this book, I actually do think is very interesting to know, especially if you want to go into theater or just for the sake of just loving theater or wanting to learn about it. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good read. I enjoy reading it very, very much. And as you can tell, I still got a few more chapters left to go. Like, I think I have 7 more chapters, and by the end of May, I think all of the chapters should be officially read by now. And that's not going to be long because April is just coming around the corner, which is very awesome. I cannot wait until school is officially over. Definitely, for sure. But yes, amazing book. I enjoyed this very good read. Question number 3 is, what movies / TV shows have you watched this month? So I didn't really watch that much TV shows or movies for that matter. I was focused on something else, which I will get to in a minute. The only thing I did have time for, I'm still watching Homeland Season 6, and yes, I'm still watching Supernatural, but the only thing I had time for was watching Season 6 also. My mind was just focused on something else to a point where I just wasn't really watching more of those seasons. So far I'm getting pretty close to catching up all the seasons of Supernatural, but the only one I had time for was just Season 6. That was it. And in terms of like movies that I have been watching, I got to watch one movie which was like a foreign film. It's a Korean movie called The Concubine. It wasn't anything I was expecting it to be. I mean, kind of, sort of, and the only thing I can say about that movie is that it was just so messed up in so many ways. Like, there was so much violence and death and a lot of depressing moments in that movie, definitely, for sure. And not to mention, there was definitely some pornographic moments in that movie as well. But yes, those were the things I got to watch this month. Question number 4 is, what is something you did that made you proud of yourself? There wasn't really much that I did that I felt was, proud-worthy about, but the only thing I can say is that I feel very proud that I have been trying to get some outside help with trying to find a job straight after I graduate. I signed up for this program that would help me with these tools of moving into the jobs of field you want to apply for. I would say that would be something I'm so proud of doing as of yet, and of course lately. Question number 5 is, which games have you been playing? So right after I finished Tomb Raider, I moved on into a brand new game, which was, of course, the moment you've all been waiting for, the moment where I pushed aside movies and TV shows to focus on one game in particular, and that is, of course, Final Fantasy 15. I did beat the game, credits have rolled. It took me a full month just to beat the game in particular. I am not even kidding you. I literally spent I think 114 hours just playing this game alone, which is pretty embarrassing to say out loud at the very least, I know. But honestly, this game is so amazing in so many ways. I love the graphics, I love the storyline, even though there were moments in this video game where it was just kind of depressing. But other than that, I enjoy playing this game so much, and I was so happy that Final Fantasy 15 came out on the PlayStation 4, because I think when the game was originally in development, they were gonna call it Final Fantasy 13 Versus or something, and then they changed the title to, I guess, Final Fantasy 15. I'm guessing it's because the characters in this video game were different compared to Final Fantasy 13. I really don't know, but anyway, yes, this is a very good game. I enjoy it so much. Okay, so question number 6 is, did you travel anywhere? Again, I haven't traveled anywhere fancy in Pacific. Obviously, if this counts, I was hanging out with my aunt, and her and we went over to her son's baseball game over at this beautiful community college that I got to see in San Mateo. I have a picture of it, and I'm thinking about posting it on Instagram sometime pretty soon, but honest to God, the view of the whole campus was just breathtaking. You could see the whole Bay Area from where the college is located at. It is just so amazing. It's in San Mateo, and it's a community college that just made my college blue out of the water completely. Just a really amazing view. I didn't enjoy the game so much, but I enjoyed the beautiful view I got to see over at San Mateo. Okay, so we're moving on to question number 7, and that is, of course, what foods did you try and loved? Again, this is another one of those questions that I absolutely love, simply because I love food. So I got to try out some interesting food this month that I thought were really delicious to eat. One of them is, of course, something I never thought I would be able to try, and that is, of course, vegan ice cream. It is by the brand called So Delicious Dairy Free. It's basically made out of cashew milk. It's like a snickerdoodle flavor ice cream, and surprisingly, when I got to try this out, this tastes so much like real dairy ice cream, which was something I was not expecting to taste like, to be honest, because I've tried other vegan ice creams before, and I tried one that wasn't too pleasing or something, but this is actually really good. This brand is delicious. Good name for it too. The next thing I got to try is, of course, these little pretzel crisp things. It's something a little bit simple, but hey, it's very good. I like pretzels. These have been my favorite brand lately though. The next thing I got to try is, of course, something I never thought Girl Scouts would be able to make. And that is, of course, Girl Scouts cereal, of course. It is the Caramel Crunch. You know those type of cookies where it's like chocolate and caramel and things like that? But it's in a cereal form, which honestly tastes really good. It's a very good brand of cereal. I enjoyed eating this so much lately. It has been my absolute favorite cereal for this month alone. The next thing I got to try out is, there's this grocery store called Nob Hill, and I think in other states they call them Riley's. These are just simple homemade tortilla chips. And for some weird reason, when I tried this out, it has like this bit of saltiness to me, which I really love. Normally I don't get into salts too much, but these have been my favorite brand of tortilla chips lately. I love eating them with salsa. They're just honestly really good. Over at Costco, I also got to try out their veggie bowls, which are honestly also pretty good. It was one of those brands that I was expecting to taste pretty shitty, but it turned out to be a really good selection of a veggie bowl that I actually got to try out. Another thing I got to try out was called, I think, Korean Gourmet Burgers. I haven't tried them in a very long time, but when I started retrying it, I haven't had a hamburger in a very long time, but for some weird reason, that veggie burger in particular, it almost tasted exactly like a real hamburger. It actually surprised me very, very much. I don't know what kind of plants they used in that veggie hamburger in particular, but I actually thought it was really good, and I was really surprised that they actually did make it taste like a real hamburger. Another thing I got to try out was also from Costco, and it is like a tomato curry with like chickpeas and kale in it and stuff. It was a bit spicy for my taste, but I also thought it was really good because the way the flavors were brought together, it kind of reminded me of like a seafood stew, or like it tasted like crab legs, which of course it wasn't, obviously, but it kind of gave out these flavors that kind of reminds me of that taste. Again, I haven't had crustaceans or shellfish in a very long time, but that was really good, honestly, even though it was a little bit spicy for my taste. Another thing I got to try out, it's by Trader Joe's, and it is called the Chana Masala, I think you could say it. I don't know. It's an Indian dish, or rather an Indian TV dinner of some kind. Like, even though that was really, really good, again, I'm very sensitive with spices, so if they toned down some of those spices just a tad bit, I think I would be okay with it. But even though they were pretty good, they were just too spicy for my taste of liking, which makes me sound like a complete pussy, I know, but hey, that's just my preference, and that is what I like. Another thing I also got to try out is by Amy's, and it's like these creamy cheese ravioli things. I forgot the name for some weird reason, but I'll definitely insert a picture right here or right here somewhere. You pretty much get the point. Everything was definitely very good this month. Question number 8 is, what songs have you been listening to the most? I got to listen to a lot of music this month, definitely for sure. But then there was also songs that I've been listening to the most nonstop on constant repeat lately. One of them is called Oyadel, also known as Leave Me Alone in the parentheses, by Korn. I think it was one of their recent albums at that time. Normally, I just don't get into their newer songs for some weird reason, but I actually thought that was pretty good. I've also been re-listening to Linkin Park's music, especially like their first 2 original albums. They have been just awesome for me to listen to lately. I forgot about like how awesome Linkin Park was to listen to and stuff. I also got to listen to, I think, Kari by Montreal. That song in particular is very catchy. You guys might have heard that song When You watched Ergo Proxy. If you're familiar with that anime, you'll know exactly what that song in particular is. I absolutely love that song. That song is really, really catchy to me. I also got to listen to Darkest Part by Red, which is also a really catchy song. Every time I listen to that song, it always reminds me of something so intense and dramatic. That's part of the reason why I love their songs so much. It's very tense, it's very dramatic. It always reminds me of like something out of a TV show or a movie at like dramatic moments. That's the reason why I love that song so much. And there's also been 3 new songs that I've been listening to the most lately. And that is, of course, Happy Song by Bring Me the Horizon. I also got to listen to Digital World by, I'm looking at my phone really quick, Amaranthi, I think. I don't know if that's the correct way to pronounce it, but that's another song that I could just jam to all day. And then finally I got to listen to Trigger by In Flames. Kind of reminds me of Mudvayne for some weird reason. I don't know why. I think it's just how the song is being created or something. I don't know, that's just me. But yes, those were the songs I've been listening to the most. Question number 9 is, what are your favorite items for this month? I don't have a specific favorite item for this month, but the only thing I can say is that I have been using an app the most recently, and that app is known as Spotify. You guys might know what Spotify is if you do have a smartphone. What's interesting about Spotify is that it's like Pandora meets iTunes. Yes. I have been listening to so many songs on Spotify lately. I also like the fact that you can save songs and like add them to like your playlists for like whatever your preference is or your reason for creating a playlist. Because of Spotify alone, there was like so many songs I've got to listen to from the type of music I've grown up as a child, from listening to 80s and 90s type of music. I was glad that I got to find that type of radio station on my phone in Pacific. The fact that I have been listening to my favorite type of genre stations or radios in Pacific, I got to listen to new artists and new songs that I never got to really hear about. Honestly, this is just a great app for music lovers generally. I know it makes it sound like I'm sponsoring them. I honestly am not, believe it or not. I just overall wanted to share it with you guys and to let you know that this app is truly amazing. It is definitely worth your time if you're in the mood to listen to your favorite genre of music or just music in particular. So that has definitely been my favorite on my phone lately. Final question at number 10 is, what is something that you have learned? What I've got to learn this month, I'm pretty sure I've said this in a previous video before, but what I got to learn is, do not come to the conclusion that men do not have the right to say so about women's personal problems or decision makings, because not all men are complete assholes and are trying to take away women's privileges and things like that. But the fact that some of them can be a little bit understanding of certain issues and other things like that, that was something I got to learn the hard way when I made one of my previous videos before. And since I got to know a little bit about that person, I was like, oh, well, I guess I definitely was proven wrong in that point. So that was a lesson I definitely got to learn. And it makes me sound like a complete bitch for saying that for some weird reason, because I don't know, I guess I just never really did thought about it that way, you know? And another thing I got to learn this month, something to do with theater related, I got to learn so much about like costume design, which I thought was also very interesting to learn about. Like the fact that you get to learn about like working with colors and matching these specific costumes to fit the mood of the scene or something, which I thought was really interesting also. And the fact that they do a lot of research before they end up making this design piece of some sort. That was something I never really did thought about. Just a lot of stuff I got to learn about, like the design factor of costumes for theater, was actually very, very interesting. I got to enjoy learning about that part of design, definitely for sure. Those are 2 things I got to learn this month. So that is pretty much it for everything I had to share on what has happened for the month of March. I hope you guys enjoyed what I had to share for today, so if you did, then be sure to sucker punch that like button down below. And of course, if you haven't already, please do dedicate the time and effort to subscribe to my lovely channel, to become a part of my army of darkness, and of course, you will be updated with a brand new video every single Friday as well as Sundays now. So that is pretty much it. If you guys are interested in following me outside of YouTube, all of my social medias will be listed in the description box down below if you are interested in following me or checking out my social medias in particular, of course. And again, thank you guys so much for watching and sticking to the end of this video. You guys are so awesome for doing that. So have a completely chill week, an awesome day or night, and I will talk to you all soon in the next video. So until then, stay completely dark and so fucking brutal and awesome, my friends. Take care. Bye for now. It has been long since the outbreak began. It was originally simple. A few bad cases in Africa and Asia, but then it seemed to spread into Europe very quickly. Being a new scientist, I am to record the examinations and morgue reports of the victims who arrived to discover what this virus might be. Since I was just invited to Europe, they instantly quarantined me and are keeping me in this non-contaminated environment. The walls are a still white, and the only exit I have is the door of which is locked to prevent spreads into the war zone. They'll be calling me out soon to do some recording, and I'll try to write down something